productive is to have the capacity to generate results. So if you want to be more productive, it simply means that you believe that you have the capacity or the potential to achieve better results than you are achieving now. You must value results. That's the starting point, isn't it? You must value results. You know, sometimes we celebrate effort more than we celebrate results. Now, it's good for us to celebrate the effort, you know, to celebrate how much we try in the process of achieving the results. But you know what? All of the effort will not count if you don't achieve the results. If you are someone that derives, you know, esteem just from the fact that you tried, you may not get a lot of results, okay? And ultimately, it will produce frustration. People don't care how much you tried, you know, until they see what you've achieved with your trying. In some parts of the world, it's actually a culture to celebrate effort. You hear people brag a lot about how much they tried, about what they did, even how much they prayed. But you see, the point is, what justifies all of that is what you achieve, what you accomplish at the end of the day. So if you're going to be more productive, you've got to be someone that actually focuses on the results and tries to measure the results to be sure they are commensurate to the effort. Now, if you are a strategic person, then it means that you are actually always looking for how to get maximum results with little effort. You've got to have a vision and to keep that vision in mind in taking your actions. What do I mean? Your efforts need to be directed. Your energy needs to be directed. Okay? It doesn't matter how fast you're traveling if you have not decided on your destination. See, you can start the car, you can move on the road, in fact, you can be going really fast on the road to nowhere. See? So, it's good for you to have a vision. Actually, where are you going? What are your main objectives? Who do you want to become in life? What are your goals for the next 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, or longer? When you keep your goal in mind, that will focus your energy, okay? And then whatever it is you achieve will be moving you along in the direction of your major objectives. I mean, your productivity on a daily basis should be adding to the achievement of your ultimate goals. This is very important. The other thing, and I'll tell you, there are many points that are attached to this. It's the use of your time. If you're going to be productive, you're going to get more results and faster, then you want to look at the rate at which you execute your tasks. You know what? Time is just your conversion tool. Okay? That's the tool with which you convert your efforts into results. So you want to look at how it will be possible for you to do more in less time. That's how you increase your productivity. You want to reduce the time that you spend on specific tasks. So check the use of your time. That's it. That's the starting point. Okay? Check the use of your time. You've got to have goals. And you've got to give your goals deadlines, because with that you define how much time you want to invest on a particular task. Set goals. Measure how much time you invest in the achievement of each task. How long actually does it take you to cook that food? How long does it take you, to run a meeting? How long does it take you to travel that distance? You need to measure the amount of time it takes you to achieve specific tasks. So you can allocate the time you have to the tasks you want to accomplish. Almost nobody ever has enough time, sincerely speaking, to do all the things that we want to do in this world. So what do? We prioritize. You want to be more productive? Prioritize the use of your time. You have to weigh the things you want to do or the things you have to do. You always have to add weight to each item and define what is most important, what comes first, what comes second, what comes third, and make sure that you devote your time to the things that are the most important. One of the major things that makes us unproductive is interruption. And by interruption, I mean the things we did not plan for that get our attention. And whatever gets your attention consumes your time. Okay? It could be a visit by someone. It could be a phone call from a friend or relation. Some of those visits had nothing. Some of those phone calls had nothing. Okay? Entertainment has value because it's part of our recreation. But then when you spend a disproportionate amount of time on entertainment, on the internet or on social media, then you get an overdose of relaxation or enjoyment. Now the time that you should invest on your job is reduced. The time you should invest on the things that really bring progress to your life is reduced. So sometimes we invest more of our time on the things that take our money away. We don't invest enough time on the things that bring the money in. You need to pay attention to what you are investing your time in. Okay? And you need to prioritize. Define what is most important. To prioritize, you fall back on your vision. Whatever will aid the achievement of that vision, whatever will help me to get to that destination that I'm going, takes priority. To your values, your principles, your standards. They're very important. Okay? So, to a large extent, they actually help you to prioritize. If you value family, for example, then in the family, love spells T-I-M-E. You want to cultivate intimacy with your spouse, you've just got to spend time. You've got to invest time. You want to cultivate a relationship with your children, you've just got to invest time. The way children spell love is T-I-M-E. Now, how important is that to you? Okay? So you prioritize that. You invest time in it. Whatever you invest your time in is what grows. That's just the way it works. Okay? Time is one of our most valuable resources on this planet. So the things that are most important to us, we need to invest our time in those things. Use travel time to learn. Use travel time. If you are chauffeur-driven, sincerely speaking, there's a lot of work you can do while you're being driven. Maybe 15 minutes, maybe 30, maybe an hour, but that's a lot of time. You could accomplish a lot. Okay? And I'm not saying that it always has to be about work, work, work. Listen, your recreation is a major part of your productivity. Very important. So maybe I should add that at this point. You need to take breaks. You want to be productive? Allocate some of your time for rest. Remind yourself once in a while that you are not God. your resources are limited. Spiritual, emotional, psychological, physical resources. Once you hit a particular optimum point, your productivity begins to go down. You know, speaking is my business. I speak a lot. And sometimes people ask me to come speak at a meeting. If it's pretty tight for me, you know, to be able to fix the time, they say, you know what, even if it's just 15 minutes, or they say even if it's just 30 minutes. And they don't realize, I don't think like that anymore. It will not cost me only 30 minutes. 30 minutes is the speaking time. There's a travel time. But the bigger one is the time it takes me to prepare for what I'm going to say. Now, talking about preparing for what to say, I found out that when I am tired, you know, when I'm really tired, I just find it difficult to get my mind to work at optimum. Usually tough creating ideas or getting creative or innovative ideas. So I know the best thing to do, sleep. Okay? When I wake up, it's amazing how fresh my mind is, how uncluttered it is, and how easy it is for me to capture ideas. So I'm saying here that it is very important for you to take breaks if you are going to be productive. Allocate time for that. But the major part of what we have said is that if you are going to be productive, the major resource that you have to convert to success or to productivity is your time. Now you need to pay attention to what you do with your time. You've got to be laser focused on your vision, on where you are going, so that all your resources are invested in moving you in that direction. 2, you've got to learn to write goals, we have said. Thirdly, when you write goals, we said you've got to fix deadlines. Because with that, you define how much time you want to spend on a particular task. We've said you've got to watch out for interruptions and for time thieves. And you've got to reduce the time you invest in the things that don't give you the results that you want. A lot of people are unproductive or not as productive as they could be because they've not taken charge of the use of their time. That's it. You will always get invitations from people. You will always get proposals or suggestions from people, you know, on the use of your time. But you've got to keep your focus on your objectives, on your vision, okay? And ensure that you're investing the best of your time in the achievement of your own goals. If you can afford the time somebody is asking for, fine. If you cannot afford, you've got to learn to say no. You've got to learn to say no. You know, some of us attend ceremonies where if we did not attend, we would not be missed. So what's the point? You're not adding value. Okay? And sometimes there are things we can actually do as a substitute for the investment of our time. Remember again the comparison between time and money. In some instances, give money and conserve your time. Now it's double jeopardy when somebody takes your money and takes your time. Okay? So you've got to be proactive, okay, with your life, with the achievement of your goals and with the use of your time. So there was that time many years ago when our children were young and I was struggling actually to be able to spend time with the family. It was work, work, work. I was getting invitations to speak all over the place. So I remember that at that time, when somebody wanted to give me an invitation, and these were mostly acquaintances, they had access to me physically. So they would say, look, just squeeze us in, even if it's just 20 minutes, even if it's just 30 minutes. And, some would put so much pressure on me, I would bring out my diary. Just to show them how busy it was. I did not realize people don't care. What they just want is the achievement of their own objective. So if they spotted one free space, they will put me under pressure just to be able to get that space for them. One day, it dawned on me. When it came to devoting time to the family, I was not being proactive. I was being reactive. I did not take charge. This is what I mean. I only used my diary to write work, to plan work. The family did not show up anywhere. Even where I had the family in mind, I just left the diary empty. So I'll tell you what I did to turn things around. When I get the diary now, it takes me months to plan for the next year. So when I get my diary about middle of a year, I begin to plan for the next year. The first thing I do, the first dates that get into my diary ever are the family's dates. But because I value family, that's it. And I just realized I've got to invest my time there if I want results. So I fixed the date. Everyone's birthdays are marked out. Children in school, the resumption date, all the breaks, they're there. Family vacations, they're there. All those go in before anything else comes, before any work comes in there. With that, I've been able to just literally create the time. And I still have time to do my work. Okay? So that's what I mean by being proactive. That you don't wait for things to happen to you. You happen to things. You make life happen. You take charge. You take control. And it starts with the planning. Okay? It starts with the chunking out of the time. So live your life being proactive if you want to be more productive. When you have time that you've not planned to use for anything, something will fill it. And a lot of the time, they're likely to be things that don't really have much value. The improvement of your skills will usually improve the speed with which you do your job. If you have a bunch of keys, it has 20 keys. You want to open a door. If you know the particular key that opens the door, it's a few seconds. If you don't, it's going to take you time. So I'm simply saying, to increase your productivity, you just never stop at one level of skill. You improve yourself. That's it. You invest in self-improvement. You update your skills. These days, we have the opportunity to leverage technology to do our work. Now, technology, gives leverage, reduces the volume of the input while multiplying the volume of the output. See? So there's no way around it. We've got to learn to use technology. Okay? We've got to learn to use technology. The tools are at our disposal right now. It's amazing. I was discussing some time ago with some people how some 20 years ago, if my parents, wanted to alert me, maybe they needed some change, the only way I could know was that they would take somebody in the house, put the person in a taxi or bus, and the person would travel 4 hours to where I was living. Because we live in different cities, the person would have to travel 4 hours. The only way I knew they needed anything was when the person showed up on our doorstep. and then would keep the person for the night, get whatever we need to get the following day, and then put the person again on the bus or taxi to travel 4 hours before they could get the money. Today, all I need is a phone call, and while we are on the call, the money would already be in their account. Or just a text message, and 2-3 minutes, it's gone. That's what I'm talking about. I'm comparing 3 minutes with what would take 2 days before, with a whole human being having to travel those long hours. See what technology can do. So I just want to encourage, that with the cultivation of skills, we save time. Okay? We solve problems more quickly. We need to cultivate skills. We want to improve our productivity. Let's shorten the time that we invest or expend in the achievement of goals. To shorten the time, we've got to be incredibly good at what we do. We've got to learn new ways of doing the things we've been doing for a long time. Listen, if you're going to survive in this time, everything is changing. We will have to upgrade. We just have to upgrade our skills. We want to produce results faster. Things happen much faster these days than they ever did before. Example, just compare the sending of information through email with using the postal system. Because before, all we had was the postal system. And just compare the sending of an email. Same letter. These days, when we want to send a letter like that, we can choose to print the letter. You could type it, straight on the computer, So sometimes, if it's an official letter, we can print it out, scan it, and then send it as an attachment to an email. How long does it take? When you click send on your email, how long does it take to get to the recipient? Seconds. Where the postal system will take at least 1 day, at least if you're in the same city. If you're not in the same city, then it could be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. Can you imagine sending a letter across continents? Before it took weeks. And now with one email. So it's gone in seconds. So I want to encourage. Don't be too old to learn. Don't resist technology. We've got to be humble enough. But just remember, like they say about the dinosaurs, they say the environment was changing. They refused to change. All we have to show for them now are their bones. If you don't want to see only the skeleton of your career or your relationships or your organization, we've got to upgrade our skills. I'm having a feeling that somebody can identify with me here who has burnt food a few times. Because you put the food on the fire and you went to do something else, okay? You were not paying attention, and the food became what Christians call burnt offering, okay? You got it burnt and you had to throw it away. I should be honest, it happened to me. I did it because of distraction. But just think about it. Just think about the fact that sometimes it's not the food on the fire, it's your job. It's the job for which we're paid. It's attending to a customer, okay? It's the fact that there's a delay. It's the fact that we're disappointing somebody. It's the fact that we're losing a customer in the process of being distracted. It's the fact that we're losing money. Money is passing us by simply because we're distracted. So if you want to be more productive, limit the number of things that you do at a time, so that you put in your best effort into what you're doing, you do it in the shortest possible time, and you can move on to something else. One other important dimension, from my experience, sleep. Getting adequate sleep. You see, I found myself in those scenarios where I was just walking. I was tired because I had work to do. I just refused to stop, and then continued. And sincerely speaking, I found myself in a scenario where I could not sleep and I could not think. Okay? Maybe I'm writing a book or writing an article or doing an assignment or something, and I'm stuck. So I've learned the power of sleep. It's the human body's design. Your body needs sleep just like it needs food. And it's amazing how clear your mind can be when you wake up from sleep. You know the amazing thing? Sometimes it's just a short nap that does the magic. Sincerely speaking, it's just a 15-minute nap or a 20-minute nap or a 30-minute nap. But the scientists are telling us now that lack of sleep is responsible for a lot of the diseases in our world right now. Okay? It causes problems. I can tell you definitely it impacts on our productivity. I'll add something to that from my experience. Vacation. So taking a break, there's a taking a break, short break, 20 minutes, 15 minutes in the course of a day. But then also you have the going on holiday, leaving work. Oh, I have experienced amazing things, phenomenal things going on vacation. At first, going on vacation to me was a thing of luxury. It was just a reward for having worked hard. Except that when I began to go on vacation, I found out that when I was resting, I was not exerting myself, that there are ideas that came to me. I mean, massive ideas that resulted practically in multiplication in the sizes of our organizations. So, going on vacation is no longer considered an expense for me, it's an investment. And I found out something. When you've been there on a particular job, you go in, day out. I found out with time you just become blinded to some things. Two, you get enmeshed in the routine. Your mind is filled with routine work. How to keep things going is what your mind is focused on. But I found out when you pull away, okay, you don't have any targets to meet, on the short run. You pull away and you are able to look at the work you're doing like an outsider. The insight that you gain can be phenomenal. I'm serious. Your ability to spot what is not working, it seems to be working, but it is not. Your ability to spot opportunities that you could leverage for growth in the next season of your life or the organization, all those things I have experienced. And I can tell you, taking a vacation or taking a break can be greatly beneficial. Greatly beneficial. I cannot overemphasize the need for us to identify time wasters and to make sure we get rid of them in our lives. It's absolutely necessary, especially your workspace. If people have this habit of saying they were just passing by and decided to pop in to greet you, you need to manage that seriously, because you have someone that has nothing to do coming to interrupt your time and to slow you down in the achievement of your goals. Okay, so Somebody taught me this, that when a guest is coming into my office, I need to make sure I'm working, that I'm doing something, that the person meets me poised, for work. Like, I have urgent work I'm doing, and it should be obvious to the person that I'm actually interrupting something to be with the person. It registers something on the mind. But if someone meets you casually sitting down, like you actually have nothing to do, it tells them they have all the time in the world. Yep. And they should take their time. Candidly, I would say, dear viewer, that you also should not be somebody else's time waster. Don't go interrupt someone in their office, because what you sow is what you reap. If you come into my office space and you take all the time in the world, the day I want to pay you back, you'll have no moral justification for telling me to go away. Okay? So, let's eliminate time wasters from our life. This is also important. Travel time. Travel time. Can we save travel time? Can a phone call do what we will do by going to see someone? If a phone call will do it, save the travel time. You see how it works? So you have more time to do your work. It just makes sense. If it is possible to substitute the activity with something cheaper, substitute it. Especially if you will still achieve exactly the same goal. Some of us need to deal with this at a cultural level. Because our culture insists, you know what, it's only when we see face to face that we can have a discussion. I agree, the best form of communication happens face to face. Because everything involved in the communication, can be experienced. So I can see the expression on your face, I can see the smile on your face, so that helps. I can see the posture of your body, and so on. I can sense more clearly the tone in your voice. But it's not every time that we need such sophistication. Save time. Save travel time. And I'm going to come back to that later on. Because there's a sense in which we need to deal with this at a community level and help to save people travel time. A lot of the unproductivity in our world right now is created on the road. It is created on the road. When people run into traffic, unpredictable traffic, unnecessary traffic, they waste their time. And wasting time is practically wasting your life. How do you become productive? How do you become productive when you're wasting time in traffic? Okay? So let's try and save time. And one of the ways to do it is to save travel time. When I think about my being productive, what makes me productive are the people that work with me. When I get an idea, the next thing I'm thinking about is who's going to help me to do it. I shoot an email, a whole project is executed. Okay? So, leadership is a big deal. And it's amazing that sometimes we don't trace our lack of productivity to that. There was a manager who was not achieving his targets. And he was very unhappy. He got his team together, and was trying to use an illustration from sports. I said, look, you guys, you better do whatever it is you have to do so that this team is winning again. If you don't, you'll be fired one by one. Okay? If a team is not performing, you have to fire someone. Who is it? And all the players chorused, the coach. Okay? It's amazing how, we don't want to accept responsibility for what's going on. But if you are a leader, if you're a supervisor, if you're a manager, the point is your leadership skills will determine how productive your team is. You have to empower the team to be productive. You've got to give them the tools that will make it possible. You've got to help them to reduce the amount of time that they spend. You've got to invest in their ability to cultivate skills, better skills, to get their job done. Okay? That's what leadership is. You've got to set targets for them. You've got to challenge them to achieve the targets. Okay? So, leadership skills. Now let's take this at a national level. What makes the difference between the productivity level of one country and the other? It's the productivity of the citizens. And it's the responsibility of leadership to help people be productive. I tell you one thing is important. The level of skills. People cannot create when they've not learned how to create. The educational system is critical. Healthcare is critical because people that don't have good health cannot be productive in their work. The basic infrastructure needs to be there. The roads need to be there. Power supply needs to be there. Okay? The hospitals need to be there to take care of their health. Then citizens can be productive. Gratefully, God has given everybody time in equal measure. Everybody is rich, time rich, to the same level. Okay? But you want to make sure that that time is not being wasted. Not being wasted to illness, not being wasted to time spent in traffic unnecessarily. Okay? Not being wasted to time, the time it will take maybe to secure funding or to secure some document or approval that is required for them to achieve their goals. That is leadership. Now, talking about us as leaders, I want to say that as a leader, if you want to be more productive, you've got to be incredibly organized. You've got to establish order around your life. Where there is clutter, okay, where there is clutter, where you don't know where what is, it's going to be a big time waster. If you don't organize, like a wise person said, you will agonize. Okay? My mentor told me many years ago, he said, where there is order, there will be increase. Now let's say that increase is the productivity we're talking about. Where there is order, there will be increase. He said, if you take your bag, your travel bag, and you throw your clothes in there without folding them, he said your bag will take fewer clothes than it would take if you neatly folded each piece of cloth and put them in the bag. I'll never forget that. Because he was actually telling me about the report, the half-year report for the whole of their organization. It's a huge organization. And he was telling me, look, this is July, I have the January to June report for the whole system on my desk right now. That's how we do it. Everything is structured. Everything is organized. We know what is where. We know what we achieved. We know what is left. Then he gave me that illustration. Order makes for increase. Where there is order, there will be increase. I thought, wow. I mean, these are principles that are not far-fetched. Again, just look at different organizations and look at different nations. The nations where there is no order, the nations where people don't obey traffic laws, the nations where people don't stay on the queue, the nations where you have disorder, they are some of the poorest in our world right now. It's just the way it works. Okay? So you can start at an individual level. Make sure you are organized. Keep your table organized. Keep your office organized. Keep your documents organized. Organize. 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 Okay? And at a leadership level, then you want to be sure that your team is properly organized, that people know who is doing what at what time. Okay? They know where to do it. They know the tools that have been provided to do it. That requires a lot of documenting to be productive, the use of time. Okay? Sometimes you just need to turn off this TV. Okay? Turn it off. It's amazing that sometimes I scroll through the channels and I don't find anything that is interesting for me to watch. Then turn it off, okay? And invest the time in something else that is more productive. I should say this candidly, especially when you are an employee, what you do outside of your work hours will probably impact more on your progress than what you do during work hours. And this is what I mean. During work hours, much of what you do is routine. It's the routine job. Outside of work hours, that's when you have the time to read the book. That's when you have the time to listen to a podcast. That's when you have the time to watch a video. Now, those things that you are reading, that are taking you outside of the scope of what you know now, those are the things creating progress for you. Okay? Your routine job will keep you where you are and make sure you don't lose your job, maybe. But extra knowledge, extra skill that you add outside of the work hours, those are the things that make you special on the job. Those are the things that help you to achieve unusual results. I remember, many years ago, when I cultivated this habit of reading, I had my first opportunity, to address a group. Everybody was shocked. Why? Because I had just read a book, from a very successful person. And when I was reading the book, it was like my heart was burning. Because there was so much wisdom packed into the book. Oh, books can be so powerful. Information is transformation. I'm telling you, information is the baseline for transformation. I was literally changing. My heart was expanding. So when I had the opportunity to speak, then I was saying things at that level that I got from this highly successful person. And people were shocked. It was like, wow. And sincerely speaking, my promotion, my rise was very fast in that organization. I was reading at CEO level. I remember when I would walk up to my boss and make suggestions about some of our operations, because I was reading things outside of the scope of my own job. I practically just wanted to help the CEO of the organization to do his job, period. So I was reading things that would be useful for him at his level. With that, I was seeing things from his level, and I was getting ideas. The first time I went to him, he was surprised. I gave him some sound ideas. He said, don't worry, we're going to tweak things sometime later. Not long from then, I went back again, gave him some more ideas. He took it in. The third time I went, he said, you know what, can you help me to document these things you're saying? Can you document these things you're saying? And I did. Of course, sometimes, yes, when an organization is large, people expect the leader to just change things like that, but it's not that easy to change. Not that easy to change. It takes a lot more time to turn a truck than it takes to turn a small saloon car. So when the organization is small, it's easy to change things. When it's large, sometimes you have to take a lot of things into consideration. So my boss did not change things radically on the immediate. But something happened somewhere along the line. The opportunity came. He just changed almost everything. And to my surprise, almost all of those areas that I had highlighted to him and given him suggestions on, he put all of them under me. It was amazing. It was a huge promotion for me. He was conscious of those ideas that I had given him. Now I had the opportunity to execute. So what am I saying? When we say save time from watching the TV, save time from being on the internet or on social media, save time. The big question is, what should you do with the time? Upgrade your thinking. Upgrade your skills. And remember, they say, it's a Chinese proverb, that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. In other words, when we're ready for our opportunities, the opportunities will show up. Sometimes we pray for opportunities, but we're not ready for those opportunities. And if they show up, they'll be wasted. What we should rather do is to invest our time preparing for those opportunities. And that's why I'll say this. There is no limit to which you should develop your skills, your competencies, and your capacity. No limit. There is no degree to which you will do excellence that you will not find someone willing to pay you for it. Yeah, you will find someone that has the capacity to pay for it. So you just keep developing. That's what we should do with a lot of the time. Just keep developing, improving your skills. You want to be more productive. You want your results to be radically different. What you do outside of your time, outside of your work, what you do with the time outside of your work matters a lot. Try and save as much time as you can. Now remember, so that I can provide a balance, you need good sleep. You need to relax. You need recreation, okay? You need to spend time with your family, okay? But don't spend all the time on the things that actually are not moving you forward. Carve out the time to read, to study, to learn, to practice. Some people actually take on courses, educational courses, academic courses, which they push outside of the time for work. The thing is, you complete the program, you gain new competencies, you get new opportunities, okay, new doors to open for you. So, dear viewer, I am absolutely convinced that you and I have come into a new season of productivity, that our results are about to be multiplied many times over. I believe with increased capacity to achieve results will come promotion, a rapid promotion. Remember, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. New opportunities are showing up for you now like you've never had before.